So yeah, why don't you describe where you're at right now?
I don't know the name of this hotel. What is it again?
It's called the Hotel 21C in St. Louis. They have them all over the country.
Absolutely stunning. It's amazing. So they have them all over the country.
Yeah.
Is their concept that they take old YMCA gyms and convert them, or this one just happens to be that?
Unsure. Their concept is they basically have a museum that is open 24/7, somewhere near the lobby, and then all of the decor and the experience is kind of based around that theme, including on-site restaurant and coffee shop.
Yeah, and it was a super nice coffee shop for a, hotel standard. So
we just had what day was it yesterday? Maybe that'll
Valentine's Day.
That's right. This
is a little Valentine's trip that we planned. We're just we worked half day yesterday, left, and then we'll be back basically 24 hours later.
Yeah. I mean, with how busy our shops are on the weekends, it's sometimes the best times for us to get away is in the middle of the week while everyone else is going away. Yeah. And a lot of times we can get, a great rate on a hotel, which was the case here. And then when I went to check in last night, I guess they said they had a reservation, but that the room wasn't clean yet. And would we like to pay for an upgrade? And I was like, why would I pay for an upgrade? But I wasn't like...
Yeah, when you told me that, I was immediately annoyed. I said, you paid for an upgrade when they didn't have our room ready?
Well, I wasn't a jerk about it, and I started to push back a little bit, and I was like, hey, well, I mean, can you at least, like you get, like, free valet parking or something? Like, you throw something in there, and he's like, yeah, I got you. And then he tries to find this room for the upgrade. He can't find that room either. But I've kind of agreed to do it, like, whatever, one step up. Mm-hmm. He's like, man, I don't have any of these either. And he's like, man, you've been kind of cool.
Are we like 5 steps up from a normal room?
This is the best room that they have in the entire hotel.
Yeah, we walked in. It is multiple levels. It has a giant fireplace. It has a workout room in our room or suite or whatever we're going to call this loft apartment.
Yeah, there's a 20-foot ceiling that we're sitting under right now.
It used to be a basketball court.
The floor
is an actual basketball court. It's amazing. We are going to have to post some pictures.
There's a Peloton.
If you ever take a trip to St. Louis, this hotel is highly recommended.
Yeah, unreal. Which is why I'm in a bathrobe, because I love a good soaking bath.
Yep.
Yeah, way longer than you. I can do an hour-long bath, and you're 10 minutes tops.
I think I took a 5-minute bath. Yeah.
Well, anyway, the occasion for the trip is Valentine's Day, but the occasion for the podcast is actually talking about the transition that we've had with our new director of operations joining the team, and also a pretty cool consulting session that we had, which was, 3 days ago now?
Monday. Yeah. Yep, 3 days ago.
So Ryan Bodine, we mentioned the last podcast, has joined us. We were really excited. I think at the time that we recorded last, we had a few conversations. He was still wrapping up at his other job. And then since then, we had several more and sort of prepared him for onboarding. And his first day was about 10 days ago from this recording. And so we've had about a week and a half together to sort of see him in action, have him get introduced and acclimated to the team and the locations, and, just kind of try and land and find his spot where he can contribute.
Yes, and it's been great so far. I know in the beginning when we first started, I would say I was more interested in like outside professionals who knew more than us, and you'd be like, they don't know our business. Wouldn't you say that was kind of your attitude towards it?
Yeah, I definitely have that sort of kind of rebellious, if you do what you've always done, you'll get what you've always gotten kind of thing. Like the whole Steve Jobs, think differently kind of thing.
Right. And I would say it was good because it kind of challenged me to not rely on other people. It's like, you know what? You need to figure it out. And we've done that for how many years now? 7? And so this week, with Ryan starting, and then we had this outside facilitator come in with one of our local universities, the University of Evansville. We got to see some outside perspective, and it was really helpful.
Yeah, we ended up deciding that that Ryan's sort of arrival on the team Actually, I was talking with Erin Lewis, who's the director of innovation and change at the University of Evansville, and she basically said that this would be a great sort of case study for Derek Jones, one of their consultants, to come in and, help us understand what our culture might be to us and how it might be different to our team.
Yes.
And how Ryan's outside perspective will be helpful for a while, might be helpful for a while, might be harmful in certain ways, and how all those things are sort of integrated. And then also just this consultant's also been, a customer and a friend, and from the outside looking in, he really sees a lot of potential for growth. And so it was a little bit of a labor for love for him as well, I think.
I think we both agreed that it felt like an inflection point in our business. We introduced a new food item, which was, because our food menu is really small, we're only introducing like a new food menu item at the most like every year. So it was like...
Other than the Pop-Tarts that you added like 2 months ago.
Well, that's a pastry. Those have a
I
little
ate
more.
pastries.
So this is our second menu item then this year, and it really like threw us for a loop, and Ryan just came into total chaos with us trying to figure out how long does this need to toast for? How big is the cream cheese? I mean, we talked about cream cheese for 2 hours in a meeting one day.
That is not an exaggeration. Jessica can sometimes exaggerate. I can
That is
verify.
not an exaggeration.
And we still somehow had some hiccups with the cream cheese.
Yeah, we bought the wrong size scoop because we ordered it online. We couldn't see it in person. It was a little too small. So it's interesting, like from a customer perspective, how you don't realize how much goes into any like single thing that you are receiving. So part of Ryan's job is just going to be standardizing processes, and he walked into a real mess.
Yeah. Well, and I know that we are going to be interviewing the folks that brought us the bagels on the second half of this episode for listeners, and we're going to be recording that with them tonight. So maybe we can save some of the bagel talk
for them
for this evening. But any other thoughts that you have about Ryan's arrival and your expectations and how they've been met or not?
I would say he's exceeded my expectations. I tend to, when I hire someone now, start with at least not low expectations, but reasonable expectations. And then and then I feel like because he's been in food service for over 20 years, he knows more than I do about how to make this run better. So if people think like Honeymoon is good now, I have a feeling that in a year we're going to be so much better. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah, it's been interesting to see you do have like a healthy level of humility and recognizing his expertise from the outside. But then I've appreciated watching you be open to him make suggestions. And not that you've accepted all of them, but that you are absolutely open to exploring them and hearing him out, and then also encouraging him, that he's going to, find more things over time. And
and there's another part of my role is kind of like, hey, you might not know enough yet to make that call. You need to experience more. You need to witness more. You need to be more entrenched in our culture before you really know that a door chime is going to be a good thing for a kitchen.
Yeah, that's right.
The staff was like, this chime is driving me nuts. And I'm like, go ahead and unplug it.
Yeah. Well, there will be some bumpy things, but
I am open. And so I think that's a good place. And I feel he's very responsible. So
yes,
I feel that we're starting kind of a new era of ownership where we're not as chained to the everyday, and we can look at more of the big picture.
Yeah. Well, and that's sort of interesting too, because we have to be able to know what that is to communicate it to him. And that was, a little bit, again, going back to, maybe it's a good time to transition to the report with Derek. So like literally as we sat down to record, Derek sent us the report of his kind of summary. So we
this will
actually haven't read
We have
this
not
yet.
read this yet, so this will be a live reaction here.
Yeah. Well, and
Are you going to read the entire thing?
No. I'm
Oh,
gonna
okay. I
skip it.
was
All right.
like,
Here we go. Let's see Derek's writing skills here.
Okay.
As the primary concern in this workshop is to consider how to grow Honeymoon without losing what makes it unique as a company, it stands to reason that the core leadership and operations teams should be in alignment on their perception of the company. Okay. So it's for him, growth was
growth is what he heard that we wanted the most.
yeah, and it's I'm kind of interested to see what
Interesting.
What do you mean by growth? All right, so he was talking about being aligned. He asked us to sort of plot things on a chart between how we believed we were perceived in the market as an adopter or a leader. Like, do we say, hey, what's the market trend? We're going to follow it, or what do we want to do, and we're going to create it. So our operations team. So again, we need a couple more details. We ended up doing 2 separate sessions. First one in the morning, which was Jessica, Zac, Ryan, and Derek. We'll call that the leadership team. And then in the afternoon, after operations meeting, we had Mindy, Caroline, Paige, Ethan, and Ryan without Jessica and Zac. So the operations team is in there, and the leadership team is separate. And so he did this exercise with both of them. So the operations team rated us as a 4.5, so closer to the adopter side. We rated ourselves at 7.5. That we're more innovative, and we want to shift more towards 5.5. Does that surprise you that they ranked us lower?
No, I don't think so, because there's a lot of coffee trends that you can do if you're a very small, like, single shop. You have 5 minutes to make someone's drink.
Sure.
And then we have to make decisions now. It's like, we don't actually have time to toast someone's marshmallows on top of a drink or whatever that looks like.
I love toasting the marshmallows. Well, and also we have some entrenched things that are customer favorites and preferences, and if you're always changing it, like there's some good to sort of adopting to things that you've already established. At least that's how I'm interpreting that. All right, customer orientation. Are we more transactional, which would be 0 on the scale, or intimate, which would be a 10 on the scale? Do we prioritize quick, efficient customer interactions? Were we more interested in relationships? The operations team rated us as a 7, closer to the intimate side, and we rated ourselves as an 8, and we want to be 9. So we don't want to be quick. We don't want to be efficient.
Well, it's interesting because we do need to be quick and we do need to be efficient when needed. It's more, do you have the emotional intelligence to figure out when someone's in a hurry and when you have a minute to talk?
Yeah.
And so, some of our shops are more intimate than others, just based on location. We have a shop that has a drive-through. We have one that's right next to a university that's very intimate. So I think it gets more complicated when you have multiple locations.
Yeah, with different identities and different sort of regulars and what they value from it.
But I think at the end of the day, what we are wanting is to still feel like a honeymoon, even though all of the shops are different and in different neighborhoods.
Well, the other thing that comes to mind with the quick, efficient customer interactions are some of the chains that have grown really, really fast. Like you think of Starbucks and Dunkin' Donuts, and now Scooters has come into our community, and that's really what Scooters puts out as their value proposition is we will scoot you right on out of here. We're going to start pouring the ice before you've even finished your sentence kind of thing. All right, I'm going to skip ahead to a couple more of these. All right, risk tolerance. Do you think that we are more trying to eliminate risk for acting, or do we take risks? So taking risks is 10.
I think I remembered us putting us somewhere in the middle.
Okay, so they gave us a 7, saying that we are more
risky?
sort of risky.
Okay.
On this,
that was for you, babe.
Yeah, you put us at a 5, where you want to be, and I put us at an 8.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, I think
they're taking the balance of Zac and Jessica there.
Yeah. Okay, so operational approach, low variation versus high variation. How much do we need to value standardized processes at Honeymoon? So you got, again, like you're saying, 4 locations.
Yeah.
How do you standardize processes within all 4 of those and not, dilute what makes you special?
I think we are leaning towards standardizing more but without becoming a corporation. And so it will have to be based on, because all of our build outs are different, we don't have the same exact kitchen everywhere. There should be standard procedures per location.
Yeah. I think, so they gave us a 3. Ryan gave us a 3. You and I both thought we were a 7. And so that's good. That's helpful to sort of know that
we thought we were worse than they did. Or
I can't remember.
Or we were like very individualistic, as opposed to, hey, however you want to build the crescent moon, as long as it comes out with the right amount of pieces of bacon or something.
I think this is a little bit more on the aspirational side of like where we want to be. And the consensus was, even after discussion, we want to have more of those standardized processes. I think what will remain, if we do grow, what will remain some of the differentiating factor is the space, architecture, the design choices. Like, we're in this space. We'll probably go to another one of these hotels, one day. We've got a volleyball tournament.
We'll never go to a hotel as nice as this, though.
Okay, this room.
We
would not be able to afford this room, but we could go.
This is like celebrity status in here.
Yeah, I was reading up on this hotel. It just opened in August, and apparently the person who was doing the write-up for it saw Keanu Reeves in...
What?
Yeah, in the
He
coffee
stayed
bar.
here?
Yes. He might have stayed in this room, babe.
Oh my
Don't you
gosh.
think? Let's call it the Keanu room now.
Yeah, we should.
Okay.
We'll never be able to afford the Keanu room, but it was so nice.
All right. So sitting where Keanu was sitting, obviously, we'll continue. Let me just do a couple more here. Is employee behavior strictly regimented? Is it more free-flowing? Free-flowing and social are at the 10, and discipline is more at the 0. They gave us an 8.5, and we said 9, and then we desired it to be more towards 5.
Yeah, so we love our team. We have great people. We do believe that they're enjoying their shifts, and that there has to be a balance between enjoying and getting our stuff done. Getting our done.
We did talk about that. He asked us to kind of like basically create sticky notes around values that our culture, that exist and we want to exist in our company culture. And then we kind of had to clump those together. So we spend a little bit of time writing them, and then we spend a little bit of time discussing and clumping them together, and finding some of those overlapping and maybe even ones that one person came up with and others, didn't quite see. And that was really neat. So some of these, it will be more beneficial for you and I to go through together, because it's got some of the notes from the operations team,
I have 3 interviews tomorrow, so I'm going to review those characteristics that I'm looking for.
Yeah. So one of our first core value, the one that we kind of come back to the most is...
Own your role.
Own your role. So he asked us, how might we get our employees to own their role? And this list reflects a lot of the different things about what it takes to identify that within an interview, and then in that onboarding early days kind of process, how we discern whether or not they are, and then kind of get into that sort of go, no go. How long do you think it takes to find that with a new
during an
team
interview
member?
or when you actually start?
Yeah, for whatever reason you hire them, but then you find out if they're a real fit. How long do you think it takes to find that out?
2 shifts.
Really?
Yeah. I've almost never had a situation turn around when something started poorly. So it's an interesting thing, and I'm always open to it turning around. So I feel like sometimes I hang on a little too long, wondering if they'll figure out and become a better fit. But if I see someone kind of standing around, talking a lot, not prioritizing customers within like 2 shifts, I'm kind of over it. And I feel like when I've gone through the spiel of like, the customer comes first, you've got to make sure you're taking care of them. And then I see those behaviors, something isn't registering with them. And I usually know pretty quickly.
Yeah. But you can't be everywhere and
I
be
can't
on every one of those
everywhere,
shifts.
and I'm not on everyone's first shifts anymore, so I'll just see little bits and pieces that might concern me, and then I'll bring them up with the managers that are there.
This is kind of neat. One of the questions that Derek asked the operations team is, what makes honeymoon authentic? And so these are some of the responses. High standards and encouragement, education, learning more about coffee to teach customers that want to learn, conflict resolution, habit of open-mindedness, and pivoting when things don't work, practicing so that you get better, growing employees, both in knowledge and as humans, finding each team member's strengths, growing yourself so you can serve the community, creating locations in different areas, having items for people with different dietary needs, growing with people and adjusting to their needs.
That's great. I actually felt like I had a really good conversation with Ryan when we met 2 days ago. And hiring him because I'm having to explain a lot of the things that we do, has made me think more about
Right.
why we're doing what we do.
Yeah.
And I just told him, like, flat out, like, I know you come from this background where everything is about metrics and dollars, and we don't want to run our company that way.
Yeah.
Like, do we want to make money? Yes, because we know we have to make money to be able to
Stay in rooms like Keanu Reeves.
to be able to pay our people and have everything running. But at the end of the day, we're here to serve the community, and we always have to look at things as what does the customer want? How does that affect our team before we make a decision? I mean, honestly, I feel like money is like the third priority for me.
Yeah. Well, there's like some psychology research about does money make you happy? And they surveyed a whole bunch of people with a whole bunch of different salary ranges. I want to say this was maybe like 10 or 15 years ago. And at that time, it was like $75,000 a year. Like if you had that sort of salary, I mean, you
Which
live in
would
California,
be like
that's like nothing.
125 now.
Right. Whatever the number was, it's going to change. But like the amount of happiness you got after this certain threshold was negligible.
Yeah, I totally think that is true.
Like if you're poor or you're struggling to make ends meet, a little bit of money does go a long way.
Yeah, for sure. That is a hard place to be in.
Yeah. But then you get to a spot where you're like, hey, we've got our needs met. You know, we can go to St. Louis.
We can be generous givers.
Yeah.
And that was always important to us and something that we do care about. But I agree. Like, we've been in a spot where we can barely pay our bills, and then we've been in a spot where things are more comfortable, and we've been all through that range, and it's not the top priority anymore.
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to go through, the report anymore.
whole report.
Yeah, this is the most exciting podcast ever, going through a PDF.
Yeah, but interestingly, one thing I did get from Derek is he saw because we did talk about this in the last podcast. We were like, do we want to grow more? Where are we at? Let's evaluate. And I think what I'm seeing now is we don't want to grow for a financial reason, but we are wanting to grow because we want to see our team step up to the next level of like running their own store, and that we like to be challenged.
You and me?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like less about a financial thing and more like, what's the next challenge?
Well, I guess that's for us to discuss on the next episode of the Honeymoon Coffee Podcast.
All right. So this is Wes from Wally Opus, and I'm back with Zac.
We're back in the basement, back in the studio.
So, maybe that wouldn't necessarily, if you brought that up, hey, we're going to read a report.
Right.
Maybe that wouldn't be the most compelling prompt for a podcast, but I think as a fellow entrepreneur or somebody building a company, I thought it was really interesting to hear how you guys view the company versus how separately inquired separately. Your operations team saw things through their own lens. And then the third party objective view of Derek pulls together this report. Why? What made you guys want to read that? How'd that even,
That was, it was Valentine's Day, and we had a really meaningful car ride up there. We were just really tuned in. We're listening to this podcast that was really connecting. It was like something that I've been into for a really long time. And, I don't know if you and Chloe are like this, where you're super into something, you show it to her and she's like, eh.
Yeah.
That's a lot of the stuff that I showed Jessica.
Same.
Except she was locked into this. And so we were just, things were just really in sync. Oh, yeah. And then the whole thing with the hotel, getting this amazing $1,500 room. It seemed like we were in a sort of flow, with time. And the way that we wanted to maximize the time we were spending in the hotel room together. And Derek, meanwhile, is finishing the report, and he's texting. He's like, "Oh man, I got 2 more hours to go on this." And I'm like, "Dude, take your time. It's fine." And literally, we're like, "Well, we got to sit down. We got to get this podcast recorded." And as we're sitting down, he sends me a text saying, "I just sent it." And I was like, "Babe, you want to do this?" And she's like, "Sounds right to me."
Did you have something else you were going to discuss before that? Or did you have a prompt?
I think we were going to talk about the experience of the consultation and, Ryan getting on board. Sort of generally, that was what was top of mind. But the fact that the report sort of came in allowed that to be a little bit more of a concrete landing point, if not a jumping off point.
So I saw Ryan and Jessica just for a second yesterday as I was leaving honeymoon, and I asked Ryan how everything's going. And he said, great. It's a different change of pace for him than what he comes from his other background. But yeah, I think he seems like he's enjoying his settling into his role. And I know Jessica's spending a lot of time with him, onboarding him, I guess you would call it maybe or something. But
because it's funny because he has such a great background and experience, and so he's really seasoned in so many things, and he's older than both of us. He's mature, and then there are other things to where we've got high school students who are employees that have much greater skills and just have had more reps in terms of the coffee side, or even other elements of it, like counting inventory or cleaning or something like that. Although he's pretty good at cleaning, I must say.
Yeah, he was mopping.
Yeah.
When I saw him,
he's a hustler. He's always out there hustling, and you want to see those kinds of things from your leaders, especially when someone new gets in the mix and people are trying to decide, do I trust this person? Do I respect this person? And those are the kinds of things that he's hopefully making a great impression with the team on.
So I don't want to, spend too much time. I know we have another segment to get to, but I do want to ask, there was a period of time where after you guys opened up the West Side, and I don't actually remember if we ever talked about this or if this was mentioned before, but there was a bit of well, what's next for us? Did you imagine that it was going to be bringing on a new operation, like a head of operations? Because I know that kind of came out of, it kind of transpired organically, but
yeah, actually, thinking about it, it's really hard because when I'm going to say no, that wasn't something we were thinking about, because if it was, I have a feeling that we would have pursued it.
Yeah.
But since Ryan came to us, and then it was more like it just landed in us so quickly and so deeply, like the full body yes that we've stolen from you. It was so clear that this was the right next step, that I think if we would have had it on our radars beforehand, we would have pursued it.
I think it's pretty amazing. And I think that the guests in your next segment are on this same journey. I feel like I'm on this journey as somebody building a company. Is it seems that when you're really trying to do your best and you're just working your butt off, sometimes it's so tough, and then you really attract, I say this kind of mantra. I just started saying it this year, the last couple months, but I do not chase, I attract. And I'm trying to really commit to that, to where the right people, the right things seem to come at the right times, when the organization's ready, when the people are ready. And I think when things are meant to be, that's how I see the world, of course. Me at this point, but like that it's really cool that this guy comes in at the point of his career where he's looking for a switch up, where Honeymoon could use, like he's looking for a switch up, but Honeymoon's looking for, maybe you didn't even know it, like a next phase in the operations play. Honeymoon's big enough now to where, well, we need to maybe standardize some of these things. This guy is coming in. It's just really cool when things align like that, and maybe you didn't even expect it.
Well, I
weren't looking for it.
I see, that happening, what sort of happened with Ryan and as his career was kind of progressing to the spot that it was. And I also see it with Rob and Olivia with the interview that we're about to play here, of just all the different times that people would kind of approach them, things that they attracted, if you will. And there were various times to where they made a jump and they made a leap, and it didn't always work out. And I think through the reps, that they had with that, they learned that it was, pretty soon going to be time to launch their own thing. And here they are.
Yeah. So let's tee up this next segment. So this is something that we're excited to try out for the Honeymoon podcast. It is an idea we tossed around last year for maybe a format for basically you and Jessica as a couple/business partners interviewing other couple/business partners. Yeah. And so this was sort of something that you guys felt would be a good first interview with Rob and Olivia of Parrella Petite, which is an Evansville-based startup bakery that provides Honeymoon with
bagels right now to start, and there might be an expansion of that, but it was a really natural fit into our product mix, and we're about to go into that in the conversation. So I hope people really enjoy learning about how something like that comes to be, and hopefully starts to root for them like we are.
Yeah. So if we could provide listeners with just a bit of background, I don't know if you don't have to give tons of detail, but could you give a quick synopsis of like, if you remember, the trajectory of like where they met, how they got here? Because when we jump in, the podcast is going to start with them discussing their business and where they're at today. Yeah,
we were back on the back porch. I think my neighbor was backing his car out of the driveway,
revving up his Porsche.
Oh man, that was kind of there might have been a siren, going off. I mean, it was a little wild there, and we kind of had just a conversation telling them telling their story of kind of where they had come from. Yeah, he's originally from Evansville, and she's originally from Jeffersonville, Indiana, and they met in the Louisville area and worked together, and then got sort of drawn into a bunch of different opportunities as this restaurant group was growing. And not all of them panned out. In fact, none of them panned out more than, a few months to a few years. And they kind of learned a lot from that. And then when the pandemic hit, they decided to come back to Evansville. So I guess that would have been 2020. Yeah. And that's a little bit where we kind of pick up the story of some of the continued restaurant work that they've been doing in the meantime, as well as starting this new endeavor together.
One thing I really gathered personally from listening to the podcast was they have a scrappiness. They have this sort of like relentless mentality that I think is very common. I've worked a little bit in the food service industry. I think that they really carry that go-getter mentality that I feel you and Jessica have in your own world. I worked at AZIP for a couple of years. They definitely have that. And I just think it's really cool to hear them discuss, also being a couple, but how they are implementing the positive things that they've gathered working in the food service industry, and while trying to kind of like let go of some of the more things that impact a positive workspace, kind of letting the negative things go. I think that's a big part. It seemed like a reoccurring theme that Olivia particularly shared throughout the podcast. So,
and it's great because we didn't plan it this way, but it builds on everything that we just talked about. And, the first part of this podcast of how important the culture and the team are to, loving what you do, not just loving who you're with, but loving what you're doing together.
Yes. Awesome. Okay. Well, we won't keep the people waiting. Without further ado, this is Zac and Jessica of Honeymoon interviewing Rob and Olivia of Parrella Petite.
Cheers.
Cheers.
And so for the people who don't know, what you're doing is a bakery?
Yes.
Is that their accurate way to sort of describe it? And you guys serve your food, your pastries in other people's establishments right now with the goal to have your own place someday. Is that right?
I would say a patisserie or a delicatessen for sure.
Yeah.
But you guys were also selling at farmers markets.
Yes.
Yes.
That's where we kind of
And
got our
on
good
your
start.
website too, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think we still want to do the farmers markets for sure. Obviously, brick and mortar would be wonderful. Right now, it is ridiculously hard to find a great location because I am picky.
I think location is key.
Yeah, location has been a thing, but I don't know. I kind of like what you all were saying as far as growth. I personally feel somewhat nervous about the growth. I think somebody mentioned to me that sometimes like your failure is growing too fast in a sense, and I think that scared me a little bit. So I do like the wholesale. I do like working with other people if we can, to see how people even react to the product first.
Yeah.
So
Well, I would say it's been a good reaction
Okay,
from
good.
our customers. Everyone loves the bagels.
Yeah, so on our side, as far as we approach pastries, because a lot of people like understand coffee shops and pastries kind of go hand in hand.
yes. Yeah.
And early days, we did partner with a few different pastry providers. And what we found is that the business model and the freshness model didn't quite align to where either we would have to estimate the amount we would need to an extent to where we would overspend and then wouldn't be able to sell the pastries fast enough, fresh enough to meet the customer's demand, or we would underestimate,
And disappoint people.
and then people come in and say, "Hey, where's this,
Yeah,
croissant
so
or
that-
whatever."
So we ended up bringing it in-house pretty early on.
Yeah, I think within like 5 months, we just sort of learned that model didn't work for us, and we hired a food consultant, and he helped us develop some things in-house that we could sort of whip up quickly and make, and that model expanded into more food that we could train people to make pretty easily.
Yeah.
It's not super
Nothing
gourmet things that we
complicated.
would need a chef to be able to do the recipes that we can train people on fairly
Yeah.
easily.
Oh yeah.
But Jessica, when did you get the idea about bagels? It was you.
No, I think they
actually
sent a message
reached
to
out.
us.
You did? Okay, well,
I
You don't know
sent
the
an
story,
email.
love.
all right, tell me the story.
I was just thinking about it and was
We
like,
had sat on the idea for a long time.
Yeah, honestly,
And
we-
actually, hearing that you guys hired a food consultant was like, oh, I could have
no.
been that.
I think
Oh yeah. No.
Oh,
This
this
was
was like-
way early days. Way early
Yeah,
days.
and when we say consultant, more like a neighbor who had experience.
out.
Oh, okay.
And very low key.
Yeah. He charged $20 an hour.
Yeah, it was crazy.
And he wanted to be paid in gift cards.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
super sweet
Yeah.
guy.
He was
I
just
would not be
that
upset.
worked.
Yeah.
It was just his way to sort of give back.
Yeah.
I think he was 77.
Oh.
He was
And he still comes in sometimes,
Yeah.
and he's so sweet. So
He-
yeah,
he's awesome.
Zach made it sound very official, but
food consultant.
if you had to put a name on it, I think that sounds pretty good.
That sounds good.
But anyway, it was something that we sort of were kind of bitten by early, to where like we can't really partner because things don't stay fresh. But then
Right.
somehow this bagel conversation came up, and then realizing that there was a way that we could sort of extend their freshness and
right.
yeah.
And I would also say the collaboration thing. Although we were really excited to collaborate with other business owners, it adds a complexity to the business. So like
does.
in the beginning, Zach was getting sauces for our half moons and our crescent moons from La Campanara, and he was
Okay.
driving all around town getting,
AZIP.
getting something from AZIP, and it just wasn't sustainable.
We had
Right.
farm fresh eggs from Jake's Happy
We
Hens.
did. We had farm fresh eggs and all
Anything I
these
could get a
different
collaboration
vendors
on.
that we were trying to manage. And so you guys really like asked at the perfect time, because I think some of our customers had been asking for bagels, and then we had kind of brought everything pretty much in-house to where nothing was overly complicated anymore as far as getting things. And so I think that was the reason when you asked, it was like, oh, let's look at this, because we're never going to make our own bagels. We're not going to be getting here at 3 a.m. to try
Yeah.
to
Like-
do this
Pretty
very
intense.
long process.
It's an easy process. It is timely as far as like proofing and everything. Yes, but
And amount wise.
yeah. No, I was very hesitant, honestly. Like, I mean, you all have a very strong thing going, and I feel kind of timid in the beginning stage of our business. So I was just like, no. I was like, they got their own thing going. I was like, they don't need these bagels. And then I was like, you know what? No, I'm sending an email. I was like, they're getting these bagels. So yeah,
And then you brought us the bagels, which was the real.
Yeah.
They were really good.
Oh man, we love. I mean, I'll say I love baking. I love bread. I love what we do, and I think mainly for the sheer fact that people love the product.
Yeah.
If I can make people happy through food, like, done.
That's your love language.
Yeah, 100%. Like, if you're sick, I'm like, oh, you want some food?
Well, and maybe that's what we tasted. You know, we tasted the love in every bite.
It was good.
Yeah, no, it was like the quality of it. And we're like, okay, but let's freeze one and then let's thaw and test it, and it was still amazing. And we were like, okay, this might actually thread the needle between something that's delicious and high quality, and
Also
we
makes
can.
business sense.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's like all these factors that we have to look at. We're actually going through this right now with the Pop-Tarts that we introduced.
Oh, yeah?
Handmade Pop-Tarts.
Hand pies, yeah.
They are taking just way too much. Like, we're not even selling enough to cover just the labor to make them. So it's like that difficult decision that we have to say, I know people love them, but we can't actually sustain this
That
at
is
the
a-
level that we're at.
Very fine line. Like, I mean, for us, at least when we even make products, it's like, is this really something that's going to bring us value with how long?
Sure.
Like, everybody's doing sourdough. I love sourdough, don't get me wrong, but it is a process that is 3 days.
So time intensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So intensive, and sometimes it just doesn't make sense. So kudos to everybody who makes sourdough. I'm out.
Yeah.
I'm out.
We'll let someone
Not
else.
for me.
Yeah, yeah.
I got you on bagels.
So
though.
how long does it take to make a bagel?
Let's say hour and a half.
Okay.
So it's about an hour of proofing, 14 minutes to bake. You do boil. Boiling's 5 minutes.
That's
for
the
whole-
part that scared me away. I was like,
really?
boiling? No.
Oh my gosh, the boiling is like, I think so many people miss that. They think
Yeah.
it's just like dough, oven, done. No, boiling is like where you get your crust, where you get your flavor. That maple goes into that water. You have the salt that goes in the water, so you are getting flavor from that step before you go in the oven too.
Wow.
Nice.
Boiling for sure. Anybody making bagels, boil your bagels.
No, I thought, like I said, the taste was amazing, but you guys offer other like products for other people as
Oh,
well. Tell
yeah.
a little bit about.
They have a really good cookie too.
Oh yeah, not to brag. I'm coming after Evansville's best cookie and bagels.
Who owns the title of Evansville's best
Rennie's.
I
cookie
think
right
just
now?
Rennie's.
Just
okay,
Rennie's.
gotcha.
Yep.
Nothing personal. So yeah, we do have a few other things that we do. We do a lot of pop-ups, and we do kind of keep to staples right now. So we have our brownies that we do. We have bourbon bars, angel mounds, the pistache bread has been one of our biggest sellers.
Smacks.
Yeah, next to the bagels. Bread is mainly our biggest seller, honestly.
Bread is your bread and butter.
Yeah, literally, yes. But yeah, we do a couple of other things. So we do offer things to River City as well, and they have allowed us to kind of be free with what we do. They kind of just were like, are you thinking for anything for this month? And we're just like,
Yeah.
okay, we'll play around and we'll see what we can do. So
Seasonal and holidays, change it up.
yeah, so we dabble.
Do you guys like the creativity of it, or does
Oh,
that
yeah.
stress you out?
No, okay.
Go ahead.
A little stressful, just a little bit in a sense of, I mean, I'm still working another job as well right now.
Same.
Literally probably not going to here soon.
So this is side hustle for both of you guys
Yeah.
right now.
Yes.
Okay.
It's been a lot, but like, I mean, if this is what I love, I'm going to grind and
Yeah.
as much as I can.
So we don't have to work.
Yes, at least just for ourselves.
If it gives you any encouragement, I worked full time for the first 4 years.
Yeah.
of
I thought you
honeymoon.
said, yeah, I thought you were saying that.
Yeah, so I didn't quit my full time job until like the fall of 2020,
Yeah.
and we opened in 2016.
Oh.
So
Well,
Wow.
fingers crossed we only have 2 more years left.
Kudos, because it is,
It's tough.
It is a little stressful.
I call it the dark days of honeymoon because there were people doing their jobs without a lot of management because neither one of us had ever managed a company and managed employees, and we started with employees. So a little bit different because you guys are starting with just you guys. And it was like
Which
we
is,
had,
yeah.
I think, 8 to 10 employees when we
day
started.
one.
And so just learning a lot as far as like how to manage people over the years.
Yeah.
So I feel bad for some of our first managers that we had. If I see them out, I'm like, hey, how is it going?
We're cool, right?
Yeah.
Come in peace. Management is definitely something I think everybody should do.
Yeah.
Get in there, try it. May not be for
Yes,
you.
you guys already have all of that experience. So
Right.
when the growth, hopefully / inevitably incurs, knock on wood, you guys will be ready for it.
I think so. I definitely, when we're ready for that step, I'm probably going to be looking at people that we've worked with at other locations.
Instead of the gentlemen who are approaching you guys in your past lives, you'll be those gentlemen and gentlewomen.
yeah, hopefully. I mean, like, if anything, we've dealt with a lot of different atmospheres in a workplace and a lot of different chefs. And if anything, I definitely want to promote a healthy work environment. Mm-hmm. Something that maybe we never got in some of the places that we were at. I'm not saying any names or anything like that, but the restaurant industry
It's
is
just
a very
tough industry.
It is.
It's just stressful.
it is, and I think some of them take advantage of people, and that's just the industry. So, I mean, with us going into this, I just want to provide great food and a good work atmosphere for people.
Seems simple enough.
Yeah. It
How
does.
hard could it be?
Yeah.
Did you guys watch The Bear?
Oh yeah.
Yes. I got a little PTSD. It's fine.
I was like, I don't know if I can continue. I'm so stressed.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Oh,
But then it got really good.
I think I had a chef made me cry once, and and I love this man to death still. Like, yes, my feelings were hurt that day, but I'll tell you what, he taught me a lot. So kudos to him for being a hard ass, but thank you, Tim.
Shout out.
I don't know. Work atmosphere, very
Yeah.
important.
So the next step, the goal is to have one or both of you guys be able to make this your full-time gig. Is that that's the jump?
Both of us for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna jump ship first and go
Yeah.
full into this.
And keeping your eye out for a brick and mortar.
Yes. Also
Are
looking
you
for a
guys
house.
renting a commercial kitchen?
We are using a kitchen right now at my job that I have.
okay.
So we are using their kitchen. We also do things from home as well, using the cottage laws, which has been great for anybody out there. Cottage laws are wonderful. So anything you can bake, essentially shelf stable,
Yeah.
you can do from home.
Okay.
So that's where we've been mainly going. Obviously, with now having such a large overhead and product, we're moving to commercial. But yeah, we have a lot of growing pains right now.
Yeah, we were kind of talking. So was that last week when you came by? She had her coolers of bagels. I'm trying to stuff them in our freezers, and there's like 0 room. We're both talking about how we need more freezers.
The logistics of getting the bagels to all 4 locations. 3 different varieties of bagels, 4 different locations.
Yeah. Yeah.
Some are going through them faster than others. Cream cheese. We had a 2-hour meeting over
Oh,
cream
really?
cheese. Oh
Not
yeah.
joking.
What to buy, the
I'm
prepackaged, scooping it ourselves into portion cups we already had.
He likes
whipped
way more
cream cheese.
than I do.
Yeah. Oh,
I'm
yeah,
like,
when
no,
people
that's
are
too
like-
much. I'm
Ratio.
like, people are gonna waste it, and then we're like, we spent 2 hours. And
see
I
that.
was like, mind is blown. I cannot make any more decisions.
So, should it come with cream cheese? Shouldn't it?
Right.
It was a whole thing. But okay. So there's been a lot of business talk, and I just wanted to take it a little bit to the romance side, and then
relational level?
yeah.
Okay.
So challenges that you guys have experienced in like, are you guys always talking about the business because you do it together, or like, give us a
What
sense of what?
percentage of your conversations revolve around the business?
68%.
68,
How about
okay.
that? How about that?
Okay, I would say for us it's
80?
85.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say like 80, maybe
Okay,
just in my
maybe
head it's like 85% at all times.
Thinking about it for sure a lot of the time.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Have you guys ever been just like, man, I don't know if maybe you do this on your own and I'll support you separately? Like, have you guys gone to that to where like, is it worth it to
Have
for
you
your
had a business breakup?
not a business
Basically,
breakup?
is what we're asking.
Have you
Yeah, the
thought
kitchen.
about a business
Well, like
breakup?
there was twice where Zach was like, "I'm leaving honeymoon. I'm going to do something else." That's what I'm talking about by a business breakup.
Not for
Last
business.
hour.
I'd say the income in the beginning of this was kind of harsh if you wanted to employ 2 people fully. So we kind of kept jobs the whole time, and it's been all right, I can't do all of this and this on the side, so one of us should jump down in hours, and I did that in the beginning, and she worked more, and it just, I don't know. I don't think it made sense.
One of you has to make the bread. One of you has to make the bread.
Yeah,
Yeah,
literally.
Right. Yeah, honestly.
No breakups.
No.
I think if anything,
No.
I probably communicate too much to the point where I probably stress him out a little bit, where I'm like giving him all the details. I'm like, look, I got this going. When you get home, I need you to go on this. And he's like, all right. I'm like, oh, whatever you need. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm going to work.
So he sounds like he's easygoing.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I try to
I'm
be.
the one that's more high strung.
Yeah.
I'll say it. I know
Well,
I am.
I think that for this to work, you have to really balance each other. I find that even though we're both pretty headstrong too, we tend to balance each other out in like our roles with the company.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, no, he's definitely my balance. I think there's times where I even look at him like, okay, you need to tell me to just tell me to
Please
stop.
calm me down.
Yeah, I'm like, will you just tell me to stop sometimes, please?
Yeah.
So-
Have you ever had a big fight where one of you is super passionate about some item or process and the other one just doesn't agree at all?
I will say that's me. Yes.
She's got a lot of ideas, and I feel like I have I guess.
She's
I
the
don't wanna-
gas, you're the brakes.
I kind of have some experience in the baking realm of what does sell, what doesn't sell.
Just more experience in that.
I've had a little bit of experience in there where I wanted to be that role that she's taking on. And like, let's try this. We could do this. We did it before, and why not now? And I do hold you back a little bit on those things.
I'm not. I want to say I'm still learning as I go, for sure. Because honestly, I didn't have a background in baking. This is just something I enjoyed as far as consuming it.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm just going to do it myself.
Yeah.
So just started doing it from home. I mean,
I don't know. You were kind of a pastry chef. You did cheesecakes.
Yeah.
You did baking for some of these companies. So.
yeah. well,
She's downplaying.
I've
Yeah.
done some things, but like just, some people who do this, it's like they've had 10 years plus
Sure,
in
sure.
this, and if anything, like we've had 16 years of experience just in kitchens and restaurants. My family owned their own restaurant for 47 years, so I've always
Okay.
been in the restaurant game.
So you've seen it.
Yeah.
Oh,
You've
yeah.
seen it all.
Oh yeah, working with family is very hard. But yeah, I am very just go. He is great in making everything, and there is a process, and I'm still learning that. I'm just like, nah, man, we can do this like in 10 minutes. Let's just whip it and go. And he's like, no, there's
Which
a
is
process.
why you're stressed out.
Yeah. I'm
Because
like,
you're
just trying to
like,
get
I
everything.
can do all of these things.
Oh, God, yeah.
But really,
No,
it's not possible.
no, he's my voice of reason. Like,
Yeah, we
slow
have
me
that
down.
a little bit.
Yeah, I think that's what it takes is that balance and figuring out when is go and when is no.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
I think that is very accurate.
well, we're gonna wind it down here. I'm gonna ask a simple but weird question. Is there anything else that you wish that we would have asked you? Or that you'd hope that
That's
we
a
might
hard
have
one,
covered?
babe.
Well, because this is your first podcast that you've ever done, so I think you've done a great job. By the way, this is
Oh.
amazing.
Well, thank you.
So, but if you had anything in mind that you were hoping that we would discuss that we didn't get to discuss,
I mean, not really. I didn't know what to expect. If anything, it's like, how about this? We do have other things that we offer other than like baked goods, like hobby wise. we do try to find our balance.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Tell us about that.
Yes,
What do you guys do
you
besides
have a
that?
personal life?
Just
Didn't
a
even
small
enter my
personal-
mind to
We-
ask
we-
that question.
No. We work a lot. Oh no. No, we've dabbled in some things. Like we were huge fish advocates. We love aquariums. At our old home, we had 14 fish tanks.
Oh, wow.
2 ponds.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I used to rock climb like crazy.
I've been skateboarding for 20 plus years.
He's
Oh,
my
awesome.
skater boy. Still going?
Still going.
Okay, nice.
Yeah. I still get messages where I'm like, you okay? And he's like,
Yeah.
no, I broke myself off. I'm like, oh no. Can you work?
Do you have insurance?
Yeah. Are we going to be okay?
That is one
Yeah.
fun thing when you're self-employed.
No. This has been wonderful. I honestly didn't know what to expect. Never done anything like this. If you ever want to get me going and talking about anything, that's easy. I have a hard time being quiet.
Yeah, well, we were just, I'd say we were impressed with you all. You know, we were impressed with the product and then the fact that you guys, you know, were going at it yourselves. And we could see kind of your scrappiness. I don't know.
Yeah.
There was just kind of like, we're gonna figure this out.
Oh,
and
always.
we had some unique elements of our ask. Like we needed the bagels like cut, and you guys are like, well, we weren't gonna do that, but okay, yeah, we can do that. We can figure it out.
We're totally open to everything. I mean, like we'll try anything that somebody's willing to do. I think if anything, I was just worried about like quality. We've never cut them and froze them. We
Sure.
froze them solid, like as far as whole. So I was just like hoping that it wasn't going to compromise them.
Right.
So if
We thought they still tasted
Yeah,
delicious.
yeah, they're
great,
awesome.
I was like, if
Yeah.
anything,
We'll
like,
have to come in and try
yeah.
one and make sure
Yeah.
you think so
Honestly.
as well.
honestly,
Honestly, not exactly. We have had zero complaints. Zero.
Awesome.
that's great. I mean,
Zero.
that's all we want is just to make sure that we're always putting out a great product for everyone. That's my biggest goal.
Well, you've achieved that goal, and we hope that you guys will achieve, you know, the next goals. And to the extent we can leave some breadcrumbs, I'm going to keep this bread metaphor going.
Yeah.
So we can leave some breadcrumbs, you know, on your entrepreneurial journey. You know, we're happy to do that, and we're rooting for you guys.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Very
Thank you for
much.
the opportunity. Obviously, we've been following you guys and avid, coffee drinkers, and we literally go to everyone. We do go to was it Newburgh? Or what am I thinking of? I always
Which
get them
one?
confused. Newburgh.
Burkhart?
No.
Weinbach.
We go to them all.
No, the one.
There's Newburgh, Burkhart, Weinbach,
The
and the
Weinbach
West
one,
Side.
the most, I'd say.
No, Vanderburg.
What are you
Vanderburg
talking about?
is a
We're all Vanderburg.
All right, you all know that I'm not from Evansville. I get them confused still. The one that's like really far east.
Yeah, well, that's
Oh,
Newburgh.
that's
yeah,
Newburgh.
yeah,
Thank
that's
you.
Newburgh.
That's what I was like. What am I trying to say here?
The
I
one
do
that's
this
in
to
a
every
different
time.
town.
It's the only one that's
Yeah.
not in Vanderburgh County.
Yeah. That's the hilarious part about it.
I was like, you know which one I'm talking about?
What is a Vanderburg anyway?
Yeah, I'm like, God, this is like a constant
You're
thing
fired.
for him. I know.
Yeah, he's constantly making fun of
He's
my
like, okay.
directional challenges.
Hey, that's right.
I'm terrible.
We got there.
I
We
don't
got
know.
there. That's
Cheers.
it. We got there.
Yeah.
All right. And on that note, cheers.
Cheers. Thank you guys so much.
Well, that's it. Thank you for listening to the show this week. The Honeymoon Coffee Company podcast is produced in partnership with the Nectar Podcast Network, with music by Sam Cuban and podcast production by me, Wesley Luttrell. We hope you enjoyed the show, and we'll be back again soon.